Heidi-ho neighbors, Radio Goji here, and welcome to Squeeze the World Toys. I know it's been a little while, quite a little while, but I've been on a bit of a break, and I'm back from that break now, so we don't have to really worry about that anymore. Today we're going to be taking a look at the final two components, or VS vehicles, in the Lupinranger vs. Patranger Vehicle series. And for those of you who have been keeping up with this, and maybe wondering, no, I will not be doing videos for Jackpot Striker or Lupin Magnum. Unfortunately, I have not been able to gain possession of a Jackpot Striker. The retailer that I was trying to get it from, unfortunately, did not receive the rest of the shipment that they had ordered. So they had to basically cancel the orders of everyone who had one pending, and yeah, that kind of sucks. And I wasn't willing to pay what they were charging secondhand for them either. So that's a thing. And you know, in the wake of that, I decided I really didn't want the Lupin Magnum, so I just didn't get one of those. So today we're going to be looking at the Siren Striker and the Victory Striker, which, as I said before, are the final two components in the show. And you know, may as well get this out of the way before the show is actually over. So you know, I know this has been out for a couple of months now, I think, but better late than never, eh? So first up and foremost, we have the Siren Striker, which is actually the last of the trigger machines. Unlike the Good Striker and the Jackpot Striker, it is not like a dial fighter or trigger machine hybrid thing that can form the body of a robot. These are actually going to be just head pieces, head and chest pieces. So yeah, unfortunately, I was thinking of using these as like chest or like body pieces for new robots, so I wouldn't have as many components just laying around the area where I display these. And that ended up not happening. So I actually put a grand majority of those away. So I don't even have like everything just kind of sitting out anymore, because there are like way too many loose components just sitting around. But I digress. Basically, much like the trigger machine Splash, this is a trigger machine that has been commandeered and is only really used by the Lupinrangers. In fact, despite much evidence showing that this was, I guess, originally meant to be something that could be used by Patron Ichigo to get a super form, it's actually used as a super form for Lupin X, for all people. So even though he's technically part of the Patrangers as well, he doesn't even use it for his Patranger form. So that's great, I suppose. But the vehicle itself is pretty awesome. Probably my favorite. One of my top favorites, at the very least, out of all the VS vehicles we've had so far. It does roll around, has little wheels to roll around with, as you might expect, as pretty much all of the trigger machines have done thus far. And you can even aim the main cannon up and down. Now, in the normal mode, you can't actually move these other cannons here. They're kind of locked in place on little tracks. But if we pull the trigger and go into the attack mode, first off, the whole vehicle extends like this, and the cannons are kind of bopped upward. And you can also fold out these sort of forklift cowcatcher prong things. And the attack mode overall is, I mean, I thought that the normal mode was cool looking. And this improves on that quite a bit. I love this attack mode here, and not only can you move that cannon there, but you can also move the other two cannons as well in this mode, because they're kind of like on this sort of half track sort of thing. That these I know it's kind of hard to see, but there's little pegs here that will kind of slide into the tracks when it goes into normal mode. And so that basically locks the cannons in place when it's in normal mode. Anyway, like I said, this actually forms a new head piece for the robot. And seeing as it is mainly used by the Lupinrangers, it is mainly used for a combination used by the Lupinrangers. So let's bring out Lupin, Kaiser, Splash, and Magic here. And basically the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the head part off of here, just kind of fold it back up and put it back into the vehicle like where it was. Just kind of snap that back on here, and that. And then all you got to do with this, you do fold up the side treads here, And then this whole front section will fold down to reveal the face. And also make sure that these cannons here are also facing forward. And this cannon will also go forward. And then obviously there's the hole on the bottom here that will plug onto the peg for the head parts. So this combination is called Siren Patranger. Let's zoom in on the little head there. Also kind of angle it so you can see it better. Has a spiffy little siren thing on his little head there. Kind of cool looking. I like this mode a lot. It's a shame that this is mostly used by the Lupinrangers, and the Patrangers weren't able to get their kind of like super mech, like ultimate combination sort of thing until much later, sort of. There is technically a Siren Patranger as well. It's just because they don't have these two things here. In fact, just realized that. Okay, now we. I just realized that I just kind of stuck that on there without even thinking, and didn't even realize it was even in attack mode for that. Anyway, I do know that there is a Siren Patranger, but because they don't have these two VS vehicles for the arms, they just use the crane and the biker arms, and it doesn't look nearly as good. But obviously what should have happened is that just, have this as like Trigger Machine number 2 or whatever. It should have been, there'd be like a Patranger splash that has the splash arm and the Trigger Machine number 2, because Magic Lupinranger had the magic and the blue arm, and then they would have just like kind of hooked this on and made like a Siren Patranger, but that didn't happen. So we got Siren Lupinranger here, but it's still nice looking and everything. I'm not trying to hate on the Lupinrangers. I don't like the inconsistency. I don't really like how they handled it. So that's just, I still like the show and everything. I like the characters and everything. It's just the inconsistency has always bugged me ever since the Lupinrangers got their hands on the Trigger Machine Splash and never gave it back. We're on episode like 47, 48 now. They still haven't teamed up. They're still kind of at odds with each other. In my opinion, they should have teamed up by episode 40. But that's just me. Anyway, let's move on to the basically the Dial Fighter counterpart to Siren Striker. We have Victory Striker, which is this big old jet. Not exactly in scale with the other vehicles, as in its actual vehicle form. This is much, much bigger in comparison to everything else, but they couldn't really do much else with this. This is actually used by Lupin Red to call upon his super form, and obviously that means that, one of the Red Rangers got the power-ups that he was meant to have. Not as big of a fan of this as I am of Siren. Siren Striker definitely got all the better high points here. I mean, this looks okay. I don't hate this, but I'm not as big of a fan of it, especially when you consider the attack mode. Because all it is you obviously turn that, and this kind of big laser just kind of pops up, which is okay, but nothing exactly earth-shattering. And that's it. That's pretty much all there is to it. There's no other parts that can fold out or anything like that. It's just, there you go. So, not the biggest fan of this. And while the combination looks okay, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of that either. But let's actually get to that. So, what you're going to do is you're going to take the tail cap, the tail fin off here. Make sure that the dial is aligned with the number 0, so things will align properly. We're going to take off the Siren here, put him off to the side for now. And then we're going to take Victory Striker. We're going to, this is also going to angle down like this to reveal a little captain's hat. This will hook on to the normal post there. And then making sure that, again, this is aligned so that 0 is facing the little indicator. We're going to take the tail part, and with this little vent facing forward, this is going to clip on to the top of the dial. And this is Victory Lupinrangers. which is basically the same combination except with a different striker. And it looks fine. It looks good. I especially like the wings coming up kind of like this around the head, around the face here. That looks really cool. But I'm still not the biggest fan of this combination overall. I mean, he's already wearing a little captain hat, like a little airplane captain hat. What's the deal? What's the purpose of this? Why is this guff all up in here? Like, it could. I guess it's because it couldn't fit on. Yeah, it doesn't fit on the actual tail part. Now that I try it, but still, it makes it look kind of eh. Again, not the biggest fan of this. But hey, I'm sure that there are fans of that, and well, there you go. So that is well, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the Siren Striker and the Victory Striker. Final thoughts. Really like the Siren Striker. Not as big a fan of the Victory Striker overall. So this would be the main one I would recommend, I guess. Again, these are sold separately, but you can also buy a if you can find one. I don't know if they still make them anymore, but this also had a bundle pack for the Siren and Victory Lupin Kaisers. So it comes with basically everything you see here. It has a good striker. It has a a trigger machine splash, a magic dial fighter, Siren Striker, and Victory Striker. So you can have basically both robot combinations in one. You can also just do Victory or not Victory Lupin Kaiser Magic Splash as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the I think for the series as a whole as well. So I guess final thoughts on the series as a whole. I do like it. There were some vehicles I didn't care for as much, and there were some that I liked at first and then kind of fell out of love with, sort of. Like the crane. I wasn't a big fan of the crane at first. Then I kind of really liked it. Then I kind of stopped liking it as much again. Honestly, I think one of the more interesting things about this is that every single component was sold separately. I'm fairly sure I've mentioned this before, but if you have a particular combination that you really want but don't want all the extra gup, you can just buy the components you want and make the robot you want, and that's really cool. But yeah, I'm kind of glad, because the thing is, I did Q Ranger last year, and then I was like, oh well, I just wanted to get Q Ranger because I wanted to get the collector bug out of my system and be done with, because I hadn't collected for Sentai in a while, for deluxe mechs like this. And then I saw kind of how cool this was, at the very least at first. And while it has its up and downs, it is a cool series overall, and I do like it. But I kind of got hooked on it, and then I'm like, okay, I got to go ahead and just start collecting these as well. And I got most of them. Probably would have had everything, including the Lupin Magnum, if I was able to get the Jackpot Striker, but c'est la vie, I suppose. But now I am, for really reals, done with collecting Sentai Deluxe mechs. I am really going to push toward basically cutting my spending down a lot this year, and I definitely have the collector bug out of my system now. I'm definitely done with Sentai for, again, at least another 10 years or something like that, but I will not be collecting for what's the new one called? Ryu Soldier? Is that the new one that's coming out in like less than a month now? I think it's Ryu Soldier is what it's called. I'm not going to be collecting for that, unfortunately. If I'm able to get my hands on maybe like some mini Pla of it or something like that, I might. But I, highly doubt that I'll be able to even get mini Pla because of how popular and it is and how quickly it sells out. But at the very least here, I've gotten what I wanted to get out of it, and I'm satisfied. So. Yeah, definitely it is a nice series to check out at the very least, but do yourself a favor, pick out the ones you want first, because especially now that they're all out, just go ahead and just pick the ones that you want and just get those, and you'll probably be a lot happier, and it's a lot cheaper in the long run too. But yeah, next week I'll be doing probably the last Kamen Rider ZO thing that I'm going to be doing. I'll get into reasons for that later, and then like whatever. I'm kind of running out of toy videos, in all honesty. I got a handful of Transformers I want to talk about, and then like another thing, and then like I can't think of anything else I want to, so I might be stopping doing toy videos within the next few months, and I'll probably, replace it with something else. But who knows? Who knows where this will go? But until then, I've been Rado Goji, and I'll be here next time. Join me, won't you?